Okay, I think we're ready. Hi everybody, it's Doc the Damned here. Or, I guess it goes, hello my disciples. I'm Doc the Damned. It's been a while since I've live streamed, mainly because, well, it feels like my whole life had been pretty much flipped upside down. I graduated college in July, and then pretty much I became an adult instantly. By technicality, you know, I had to look to get a job, etc, etc. It's just been a really freaking busy summer. However, I'm almost to the point now where I'm pretty much back into my normal routine as I was, and I'll minimize this. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing well today, and we're going to get into the Slaxxy Catch-up. I call it this because I haven't watched a video from my man in quite some time. Because I've been busy as sin, pretty much. And he has some members-only videos. I genuinely might consider becoming a member, because I'm such a big fan of his channel. But anyways, let's get started with which one I think I haven't seen yet. And I'm pretty sure it was this one, the worst arc in DxD. So, let's get into it, everybody. I hope we're all ready. And hello, Seth. Welcome to the chat, buddy. I see you. Bro took the Steve from Blue's Clues approach. If that's referencing me, maybe. I'm not sure. Oh, wait, no, I get it, because, yeah, Steve had to leave for college, and then his life was flipped upside down. I get it, I get the reference. I know that because there was a lot of rumors back in the day that Steve was, like, dead, or some other stupid stuff, but no, he just lost his hair and joined a band instead. So let's get into it, everybody, I'm excited. The worst arc in High School DxD, let's find out what it is.
During my rewatch of High School DxD, I was pleasantly surprised
Oh,
with the series.
that is very
Season 3, I was a little
unprofessional looking. I have to put it on my second monitor.
Strayed away from the light novel, but I can't lie, for the most part, I still enjoyed the season. Even though it was a definite downgrade from how the light novel did it. It still had some great episodes, and I was still entertained for most of the season. But
I think this is referring to Season 3, which, in that case, makes sense, because wow, Season 3 was a bit of a letdown compared to how it was in the light novel. They screwed it up, basically. The studio was like, oh hey, how about we try and do our own thing and completely disrespect the whole source material? Which is a big no-no, and why it ended up having to swap animation studios from TNK to Studio Passion. Well, even so, TNK was kind of outdated at the time, but I don't know. It was annoying, so let's see.
But that all kind of went downhill as soon as I reached the final arc. I call it the Loki's Curse arc because it's all about a curse that Loki places on Issei and Rias.
Oh, this one. Yeah, I know this one. It's the whole, yeah, Rias becomes possessed and, like, gets the dragon armor, the female version of it, which never happened. And it's completely pointless. I don't know why they added it in.
After their fight, this curse goes on to eat at Issei and Rias' insecurities throughout the rest of the season. It's supposed to make Issei's trauma worse, and it made Rias' confidence in her relationship with Issei worse. It ate away at her confidence so much that Loki sent a clone of Issei to sweet talk her. And
yeah, it makes no sense. Like, cloning's typically not a thing we really see in this show, nor, in my opinion, I don't think it even belongs in this show.
And she fell for it and became mind-controlled. The rest.
And people wonder why, like, they have a problem with Rias. As for anime, did you see Black Lagoon and Elfen Lied? No, I haven't. I've definitely heard of Black Lagoon. Elfen Lied, not so much, but I've heard really good things about Black Lagoon, so I'll definitely have to check it out.
Most of the time is about Issei trying to save her and figure out what is going on with her. And then, obviously, he eventually does end up saving her, and they have a big moment and they kiss. That's a very brief rundown of the Loki's Curse arc, and this whole arc can be summed up with one word: pointless.
Because it was pointless. This was never in the light novel. We should have had the whole Sona and Rias rating game, which everybody wanted. Could have been another cool action part. Besides, we love the rating games. It's one of the biggest parts of the whole series, is to see everybody duke it out and show how far they've come. So, inserting all of this random nonsense in, you can see why it pissed a lot of people off, including myself, after I learned about the light novel.
This arc just isn't that good. It actually ended up being so bad that the author had to create an entire side story basically telling us that this season isn't canon.
Yeah, I forgot about that. They had to fucking retcon the whole thing. That's why in the season 4 there's an episode 0, which is like, yep, we realized we messed up. Get rid of all of that, mate. We're not doing that anymore.
The original creator hated it, the light novel fans hated it, and I'm not too fond of this arc either. I'll start by talking about the biggest problem people have with the arc. It completely strays away from the light novel.
Yes, it does.
For the most part, Season 3 is still able to somewhat follow the light novel. They change a lot and leave a lot of details out, but the overall plot is still the same. But that all changes when you get to the Loki's Curse arc.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
Everything that happens in this arc is completely made up. There is no Loki's curse in the light novel. I think the thing that bothers me the most is the fact that they completely cut out the rating game between Rias and Sona.
Yes, and this is what's pissing everybody off, is the fact that we missed another big rating game that was crucial to a lot of the characters. Plus, with that whole rating game thing gone, it kind of leaves Sona and the rest of her gang to just lesser roles, to be honest, which shouldn't be the case, because Sona and her friends, the student council, they deserve some more shine, and that arc gave it them.
From this season just so they could add this arc. It's so frustrating because the rating game with Sona is one of the best volumes I've read so far. It gives us a new perspective on different characters like Sona and Saji, and they're able to make the rating game interesting by restricting the power of the Grimmery team.
Exactly. And we didn't get any of that. We just got some random stuff that nobody wanted.
It's such a good arc, and leaving it out of the anime was one of their biggest fumbles. And it doesn't do anything but ruin the story moving forward. They do this with a lot of things throughout Season 3. A lot of things get changed in some way, and all of these changes add up, and we see it negatively impact the rest of the series. In Season 4, they constantly bring up the rating game between Sona and Rias.
But we never see the rating game, so we're just like, well, what the hell are you guys talking about? You guys never fought or anything, but yeah, they did fight, and it was a pretty cool one.
And we have no idea what they're talking about because we didn't see it in the anime. It makes these moments with Issei and Saji feel empty because we missed the bond that they built in that light novel.
Exactly.
And of course, it also just leaves us confused because, again, we just don't know what they're talking about.
Yes, my favorite character-wise, Konako, yeah. I like it because he's really funny.
They had a whole rating game off-screen.
It's been a while ago, huh? Yeah, it's been a while, local retaker. That's because I've just been really busy over summer. Like, summer break my ass. It was pretty much just right into the firing line afterwards.
Also cut out the first fight with the hero faction, so Season 4 has to show it to us in a flashback instead of giving it to us in full.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
This kind of just makes the hero faction's appearance and threat seem a lot more random than it actually was in the light novel. They also brush over so many tiny details, and it just leaves us with so many questions. Like in Season 4 when Issei just randomly pulls out a fire attack that wasn't explained because they decided to skip over the entire training time Issei had with Tanin.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot that he pulled that out of his ass pretty much. But yeah, there's a whole explanation of how he learned to do that. And we needed more of Tanin, man, because Tanin is freaking awesome. One of my favorite characters.
They completely neglect to tell us why Issei doesn't ever use his divine dividing power. In the light novel, it's explained that every time he uses it, his lifespan goes down, but that's never told to us in the anime.
Well, I mean, they kind of, I guess, glance on it a little, because they say, like, a lot of devils live for, like, pretty much almost infinity, but you will not be one of them. I guess that kind of implies that the whole trade-off of using Divine Dividing as a boosted gear host is that it takes away your lifespan. Well, they never explicitly say it. In fact, the only reference we ever get to losing your lifespan is when Issei used the Juggernaut Drive when Konako's healing him, saying, like, after your life force was drained by the Juggernaut Drive, or something similar. There was never any mention as to why he never uses the Divine Dividing. But that's why, pretty much, because they're polar opposites, it damages him by using the wrong kind of dragon. At least that's my own headcanon.
And it just makes the viewer question why Issei doesn't use one of his most useful powers.
It is pretty broken.
Sona's motivations, so we just don't care about her in Season 3 when she's telling them to us. In the light novel, Sona gets laughed at by the higher-ups, and it creates a great moment that makes us want to root for her. But that just isn't there in this season. I could go on forever, but I think you get the point. They cut out and they rush through so many important moments and details, and it creates a mess of a season, all because they wanted to be fancy and create their own ending.
Which they shouldn't have done. And again, it's such a shame because a lot of characters get pushed to the wayside.
Could have used these episodes that they used for that final arc to go into detail about the characters and their reasonings, but instead they used the time to create a moment between Issei and Rias. They cut so much material out and everything just ends up feeling rushed, and that's because they're still trying to fit 3 arcs in 12 episodes.
which is kind of stupid in my opinion. They should have been given more episodes or should have found a way around it, because yeah, fitting that many arcs into 12 episodes is kind of absurd. But they definitely shouldn't have gone with the whole, like, Loki's curse or anything stupid. They should have gone with the rating game. Every person can agree with that.
If the reason for cutting out Volume 5 was because they didn't have enough episodes to adapt it, I would kind of understand.
Hello Joshua, how you doing, buddy? Welcome. Good to see you, man.
But they cut it out and then they try to give us a new arc to replace it, and it just doesn't work. And of course, everything
what's the
ends up
point?
feeling so rushed. The pacing of this arc is not great. It's too fast, and because of this, some of the most important moments get overlooked and skipped over. The biggest victim of this is the Issei trauma reveal. This is probably one of my least favorite moments in the anime, but Rias gets kidnapped by the Issei clone, and they find out that Loki was the one behind it and that he placed a curse on Issei and Rias to make their deepest fears worse.
Just stop from getting together, yeah. And again, I just wish it was, like, it had more time. They would have chosen something else.
Issei the curse brought up his past with Rainier, and Issei gets told this on the roof of his house by Roswisa, and then this is when he realized that he's still traumatized by Rainier. He just comes to that realization in one of the most underwhelming scenes. There was no tension leading up to this realization, there was no real build-up leading up to this realization. It just kind of happened. And it's done in such an underwhelming way. And the biggest problem of them all is that Issei is the one to figure out that he's traumatized.
I'm doing fine enough, I suppose, been better. I'm back in college next week and my mum's afraid of me failing again. Well, I hope you don't fail, Joshua. Pull through, buddy.
It's just so much worse compared to the actual version we get in Season 4. In Season 4, Issei doesn't understand how much Rainier has been eating at his mind.
Oh yeah, Season 4 blows this out of the water.
It's supposed to be a big moment of realization for him. It's supposed to be hidden to him. This scene works so well because it has emotional impact and it acts as a wake-up call for Issei. He's able to look within himself and tell everyone his deep insecurities. And it all just leads up to a beautiful moment between everyone.
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite scenes.
In Season 3. Instead, we get a lackluster reveal and they just quickly move on to the next scene.
They honestly should have just, like, not had that happen. They should have left the reveal until Season 4, because during Season 4, it just would have been better. They should have, like, given more hints to it, that Rainier was the one that's still haunting Issei. They should have given more hints, but they never should have explicitly stated it outright, because it kind of kills the mood and everything. It's just a bit silly.
It doesn't feel as important as it should because they're so focused on giving us that cute moment between our main characters. The fight between Issei and his clone is also really rushed and it just feels so lazy. This is the last fight of the season and it's Issei up against the strongest version of himself that we've seen up until this point. And Issei beats him with a single blast. They don't even try to give us something to be invested in. I'm not expecting
it's just kind of redundant.
But what they did here was just so lazy. And again, it just felt rushed. They keep rushing to get us to that big moment between our two lovebirds.
We're not talking about this big moment right here, no. Talking about they just want constantly to feed the Rias and Issei shippers. But they should have just spent the time to build up the characters instead.
And then, of course, you have that random moment with Issei and Asya at the beginning of the arc. This moment is built up so much during this episode. They're acting like Asya is about to die if she tries to heal Issei. The amount of suspense built in the first 5 minutes of this episode makes you think Asya is about to set off a nuclear bomb. But then...
Yeah, I remember this. It was just kind of weirded out by it, honestly.
Then you get to the moment of her healing him and it just looks like she's healing him normally. She also only spends like 30 seconds healing him. And then to add insult to injury, we get probably the most unnecessary and laughable use of fan service.
Oh yeah, don't get me started on this scene. Like, they could have literally added anything else. They could have shown flashbacks of their interactions. They could have, like, shown the grimaces on her face when she's really struggling to push the healing magic forward, but no. We get nothing but fan service. It's really stupid. And hi, I don't really watch anime videos, but I came just for now. I'm busy watching Human 1011, remaking Yako's World 100% accurately. Welcome, Mark. Welcome, Beans. Good to see you, buddy. I see you've also joined the Clippy gang. I know that's because of American, like, facial recognition or something stupid. Age recognition, either one. Me, if it had a true ending. Hi, what is this? This is a, bunch of videos about a anime that is not for kids at all. So if you're a kid, leave.
This whole moment
I can't be
just
held
felt
responsible
so
for this. I've already given
disappointing
several
because it
warnings.
was so rushed over. The payoff just didn't live up to the hype, and it just feels like they're rushing to get to that heartfelt moment between Issei and Rias. They're trying so hard to get to the next moment. They're not putting any time into what's happening right now. You could take this moment between Issei and Asuya out and just have Issei wake up normally and nothing changes. That's
Exactly.
how unimportant this scene feels because of the pacing. You probably didn't even notice, but during my intro, I only talked about how the curse affected Rias. That's because the curse that's placed on Issei doesn't actually do anything, and it doesn't give us anything new or different. The
Nope, it just feels really pointless.
curse is placed on Issei after his fight with Loki, and the only time we really get to see it in action is during the Juggernaut Drive scene. While he's going Juggernaut Drive, the curse makes him think of Rainier, who goes on to taunt him, and only makes him go even more berserk.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Well, I just wanted to stop and say hi. See you later, I guess. Alright, see you later, Beans. Take care, buddy.
Issei being influenced by Rainier and her being the one to make him almost use up all of his lifespan is such a good moment, and it's a great call. I've said this so
Absolutely.
many times, but the anime actually does do the Juggernaut Drive scene way better than the light novel.
And he's made a whole video, I believe, on that moment, which I don't know if I've seen, but if I haven't, I'll definitely check it out.
And this is an example of that, except you didn't need the curse to do this.
No.
Issei was already deeply traumatized by Rainier, and we see this before Loki is even mentioned. He's already battling himself deeply, so what does the curse add to this?
Literally nothing. Again, yeah, exactly as he said right there, they should have just let this happen naturally. Because, well, it could have happened naturally. It should have happened naturally. But we have to have this force just for the sake of the random storyline they've made up.
If this was the first instance of Issei's trauma, and if this was the first time we see Rainier in Issei's mind, and the curse was used to enhance the trauma, I would understand, but it just doesn't do that. All it does is add an unnecessary element. The curse is supposed to prey on its victims' insecurities, and it does a good job at that, but we don't really see it enhancing anything. Issei was already shown to be traumatized before this, and he doesn't seem any more traumatized after this, so what was the point? This Juggernaut Drive scene with Rainier is great. It shows us how deep she has infiltrated his mind, but the scene works better when you don't know that Issei is feeling this because of a curse. Issei thinks Asuya is dead. At this point, he's failed to save her like 4 or 5 times. The last time he failed to save Asuya, he got brutally mocked for it by Rainier, and that's one of the reasons why she affected him so deeply in the first place. She crushed his spirit by not only killing Asuya, but by letting him know that he's a failure for letting her die. It's such an important moment for his character because it changed the way he felt about himself for the remainder of the series.
Until eventually they heal the trauma. But yeah, no, it's always been here in the background, lingering. And they should have put more time into subtly pointing this out or giving clues to the audience that this happened instead of making up whatever the hell they've done now.
So knowing that, and seeing that Issei failed to save Asuya again, why would Issei need a curse to infiltrate his mind and let him know that he's a failure? If you remove this curse from Issei, this scene would still work the exact same way, and it would still be believable considering what happened
it'd be totally fine.
Issei failed to save Asuya. Of course he would have flashbacks of Rainier talking to him, especially since he's still traumatized. It just wasn't necessary to add this curse here in any way. It didn't actually give us anything new. Rias' story was a lot more interesting because it actually had significant plot implications. It was already established throughout the series that Rias was having problems with her confidence. All those moments of her zoning out and talking to herself aren't there for nothing.
Yeah, they've given us plenty of those moments throughout the series. Like, you don't even have to be kind of paying attention to notice that she's just kind of zoning off, not really, fully in the game. And yeah, they should have just built this up. None of this should have happened.
And then, of course, Loki places the curse on her. Now, it doesn't actually give us anything different, but it does lead to her being vulnerable enough for Loki's Issei clone to mind control her. I actually like that scene, too. Rias is insecure in her relationship with Issei because he won't stop calling her president, he won't make a move on her, and because she feels like he just doesn't understand how she feels.
Well, I do have my grievances with that, because again, she never explicitly told him to call her by her name, but, I mean, you get the point, really. It's a whole bunch of misunderstanding between people who want to be together, but they're scared of doing it because they're afraid the other will reject them, even though they both want to be together. Love is a really stupid and confusing thing at times. Rewarding if you get it right, though. So it kind of makes sense why these two are like this.
So when an Issei lookalike comes in and tells her everything she needs to hear to calm her insecurities,
Why
of
wouldn't
course
she
she's gonna
believe
fall
it?
for it? It makes sense and it's actually realistic. So that part of the story isn't bad, and the lead up to the final moment isn't bad either. I love the moment where everyone pours their heart out to Rias and that almost breaks her out of her mind control.
And which is deserved because, yeah, she's done pretty much loads of stuff for all the characters, really. Basically saved all of their lives.
I think the fight between her and Issei has some decent emotional value, and it does a great job at showing how much Issei loves her. All of that was done really well and it made sense. We got some nice moments and we truly got to see how important Rias is to the group. I like the story being told here with Issei and Rias' insecurities. It's built up throughout the series and it leads to a great moment between Issei and Rias. The arc is all about Issei's trauma and Rias' lack of confidence. These two things bounce off of each other and add tension to Rias and Issei's relationship. And of course, it all leads to a big confrontation between the two, and then they make up and make out. Wait a minute. Issei's trauma
yeah, that is pretty funny.
and Rias' insecurity is being built throughout the series, and these two things bounce off of each other and add tension to their relationship, which then leads to a confrontation between
In the club
the
room
two,
scene.
and then they make up and make out.
Until they get interrupted by Arkano.
It's literally just a copy of the club room scene. And
It is.
now we've arrived at my biggest problem with this arc.
Alright, what's
it took
that?
me up until just this last rewatch to realize that they just copy and pasted the biggest conflict in season 4 into this season. And
Oh yeah, they did. Why didn't I realize that before? Wow.
they did it for no reason. This moment in season 3 is the exact same as this moment in season 4. This
It
arc
is, yeah.
single-handedly destroys all the credibility for the club room scene. In this moment in season 3, Ria says that she was feeling jealous because of how the other girls threw themselves at Issei.
And she says the same thing in season. Oh my god, it is a copy and paste. Wow, I hate this arc even more now, Jesus.
How he acts around them. In the sub, Ria says that she was feeling insecure in their relationship because Issei wouldn't stop calling her president.
Oh, I didn't know that happened in the sub. I stopped watching the sub at season 3, so there you go.
And that was making her question their relationship, especially since he refers to the other girls by their names. This makes sense with the story being told. I talked about the clubroom scene in my last video and I went over how good the build up to that scene was.
And it was a necessary scene. Again, I still think the parts could have been handled a little differently, but yeah, I've made my peace with that scene.
And everything I said in that video can be applied here. But what was the point? It's the exact same thing as season 4. This entire arc was just pointless. It's pointless because it doesn't need to exist. TNK made the choice to go off script and create their own new story for season 3.
It really did feel like they didn't have an idea as to what to do after they messed everything up, so they just was like, oh crap, copy my homework and change it a little bit, and pasted it into season 3, and that's what we have here. Again, such a shame that they didn't keep the Sona and Rias rating game.
Cut out the Sona rating game, they rearranged all the arcs, they completely changed all the fights, they made all these changes that give us a somewhat new and interesting take while still mostly following the canon, and it kind of works, but with this last arc they throw
It's
all
just
of
very
that out
awkward.
the window. If we were going to get this same problem and this same resolution later down the line, then what was the point of moving it forward? This arc is pointless, it has no meaning, it has no value, it adds nothing to the story, it actually makes the
It's basically
story
just
worse
filler.
because now Rias and Issei look bad. They make
But
up
annoying
in
and
this
worse
arc.
filler.
Issei acknowledges Rias' feelings about him, and I'm 99% sure that in the sub, that moment where Issei talks and you can't hear anything, that's supposed to be him saying her name. And also, let's not forget that Issei figured out that he's still traumatized by Reiner earlier in this arc. So Rias and Issei have come to a resolution and they essentially are fine now.
So yeah, that makes season 4 more confusing because, well, at the end of season 3, you know, he finally says her name, whether it's like he just got amnesia in season 4 and just completely forgot about this scene. So yeah, having them add this scene, it makes all of season 4 pointless. Well, the whole resolution pointless because they've already fixed everything, so they shouldn't be having any of the relationship troubles. Reiner's trauma, sure, I can buy that still being around, but they should be past this point by now, so I can see why this is annoying. It should have never been added.
Issei assures her that she has no reason to be insecure in their relationship, and Rias basically confesses to Issei while she's talking about her insecurities, and they kiss. So you know what this implies for the next season? This implies that Issei and Rias didn't learn their lesson.
Yeah, both of them just got random amnesia for the sake of trying to fix the canon.
They have to do it
It's stupid.
again. Issei makes her feel secure in their relationship, and this implies that she ignores that and goes into season 4 with the exact same problem. It makes her look terrible. They share
Yes,
this
it
beautiful
does.
moment where Rias learns to love herself, and then it's completely thrown out the window the second season 4 hits because, of course, season 4 has to tell the same story. And this same thing applies to Issei. He acknowledges that he's traumatized, and he takes steps in the right direction by calling Rias by her name, and then we're back to square one the second season 4 hits.
Yeah, it's just, again, completely pointless and it just messes everything up. I didn't notice this because, again, it's been a while since I've rewatched season 3. So yeah, I can see now why this is more harmful than it is good because it makes season 4 look stupid.
And of course, it's not season
Which it shouldn't,
4's
because
fault.
season 4 is a great
Season 4
season.
has to tell this story again because there's no other story to tell. And that's my biggest problem with this arc. It makes Rias and Issei look bad because it makes it seem like they don't learn their lesson. Now, luckily, the author has already confirmed that these episodes aren't canon.
Yes, they can be completely ignored.
And basically all of season 3 isn't canon. So season 4 isn't actually affected by this, but it feels like it is affected by it. And
If you didn't know it wasn't canon, yes, it's definitely affected by it. And then again, I imagine most casual watchers wouldn't go into more detail with it.
that's because when you're watching season 3, you're not really thinking that what you're watching isn't canon.
Exactly.
So when they transition into like a completely new story for season 4, it just feels really weird and everything.
Yes,
just
it
kinda
feels very
feels
jarring.
off. And it's all caused by the Loki's Curse arc in season 3. Season 4 tries so hard to make up for the stuff that season 3 did wrong. They're trying to tell us about the stuff that was supposed to happen in season 3, but we didn't get to see it, so it
It's like rule number 1 of storytelling: show, don't tell.
just makes it kind of confusing. And it's especially confusing for the people who don't read the light novel. These people have to just believe that Rias and Sona had a rating game off screen. They have to believe that Issei learned how to spit fire off screen. They're telling us that Issei has already encountered the hero faction off screen. They have to believe Issei went through a whole trial with the Power Ranger Devils off screen.
Yeah, it's just silly.
There's so much just random stuff that happens off screen because they didn't want to tell the story in season 3. All these things add up and they make season 4 seem a lot worse than it should be. Because season 3 doesn't follow the canon, because season 3 wants to be different, season 4 has to also deal with those consequences. Sure, the episodes in the Loki's Curse arc aren't necessarily bad episodes. Sure, there is a decent story being told, but at what
some of the
cost?
fight scenes
We're
are
losing
alright.
key details and key moments just so we can tell a story that hasn't even been fully fleshed out yet. It was just such a bad move and it makes no sense, and nobody asked for this. Nobody wants to see the club room scene twice.
Yes, true. Again, if you were to ask most of the fan base which one they'd rather see, mishmash drama that never existed or the fight that everybody had been wanting, obviously they'd pick the fight. That's what they should have done. In an alternate universe, they would have done that.
So once more, I have to ask, what was the point? And
There
the
was no
answer
point.
is there is no point. There's no reason for this arc's existence. It adds nothing, and it only makes future events seem silly. It forces season 4 to correct the mistakes that they made in season 3. It rushes through important details by just dumping them onto us through conversations. And of course, the
Which you
biggest
never
sin of
want
them
to
all
have.
is that it completely deviates from the light novel. And it cuts out one of the best volumes just to move a story from later volumes forward. Again, thank God the author confirmed this season isn't canon because this arc just adds nothing positive to the series.
That's when you know you've messed up, when again the original author just hates it. Literally considers it not canon. And again, you wonder why they swapped to Studio Passion from TNK. It's because they did this monstrosity. I mean, to be honest, if I was the author, I'd probably do the same thing.
And this negative impact is felt heavily throughout the rest of the series. And the best part is that all of this could have been avoided if they would have just followed the light novel. And there goes
Yes.
that video. This wasn't originally going to be its own video, but once I rewatched the series and I wrote my club room scene video, I
You
just
noticed
had
all
to
this
talk
stuff.
about this Loki arc and a little bit of season 3 and how
Alright, so there we go. That was the worst arc. And yeah, as you can see, I added this in. So yeah, this was one of the first ones I wanted to watch, but never got the chance to, right? Let's see, I think I watched more of the hot takes. If not, I'll get to those. I guess next on the agenda is... alright, the best moment from every episode. If Season 2, Episode 4 has a certain scene, Slaxxy, we're going to have some problems, but let's see what the best moment from every episode is. Hope you're ready.
I was supposed to be dropping a Volume 9 review, but that video is going to take a while to make. So
Constant
instead, I thought
copyright
it would
as
be
well.
A cool idea to take you, my beautiful viewers, through the best moments from every single episode of High School.
Alright, let's see what you got, my friend.
Besides for the special episodes, because I didn't feel like rewatching those. But
Plus, the special episodes are kind of pointless. Well, the difference between the special and the OVAs are just kind of fun fillers. The specials are just 3 to 4 minutes of nothing, so I can see why he didn't include it.
I'm gonna go episode by episode and give you my pick for best moment.
Okay,
and
let's
my
do
reasoning
this.
for that decision. This will probably be a longer one, so let's just go ahead and get right into it.
And I'll say if I agree or disagree with each point.
Starting with the very first episode. Season 1, episode
Gotta be the
1
intro,
is an
right?
Interesting one because so much happens in it. Issei basically dies twice in this episode.
Yes.
We see Issei goofing off with his friends. We see Rias mysteriously watching Issei, and of course, we see the introduction to one of the most important characters in the entire series.
Well, actually, no. I can point out my favorite scene from this entire episode. Is very easy. The "Would you die for me?" Because coming into the show, I hated it. I hated all of anime. I was genuinely about to give up after the first episode. But as soon as I saw the "Would you die for me" scene, and then just everything just completely turning 180, I was like, okay, there's something here. I need to see this through. And because of that episode, I never would have became an anime fan. So, yeah. That's my favorite moment.
Rainier. And because of Rainier's impact on the series and
on
Issei
me
as a character, I had to pick her killing Issei as my favorite moment.
And mine as well.
It's a pretty good surprise. The only real hints you get to it is Rias stalking Issei, so
and everybody else following him.
And it's just all around a great moment that lets us know this story is going to be interesting.
Yeah, literally. Again, I was gonna drop this, but it was this moment, just seeing him brutally taken out in this fashion. Out of nowhere, because nothing was hinting at this. It was really, really weird.
And of course,
but I
this
love
is
it.
the moment that turned Issei into a devil, so I would probably consider it the most important moment in High School DxD. Season 1, Episode 2 isn't a very eventful episode.
Nah,
really
it's kind of more the
to
same.
choose from. The whole episode is just about Issei starting his journey as a devil, but a lot of that just includes him asking questions and riding his bike to strangers' houses.
Which, to be fair, I mean, introducing your new plane of existence, you'd want to take it slow. Typically, the first couple episodes after the first one are trying to find its footing, so it makes sense that the next couple episodes are maybe a bit slower.
So the moment I decided to go with was Issei pulling out his sacred gear for the first time.
Yeah, I can buy that.
And drama-filled moment, and it opens our mind to the world of sacred gears. They make Issei feel
and how
special,
awesome they
it's
are.
Interesting seeing where it all started. For Season 1, Episode 3, I was stuck between two choices. One of them was the battle against Freed. Very dramatic.
Oh yeah,
and it's pretty unexpected to
that was
see
a good
our main
moment.
characters lose. But I ultimately went with the fight the whole team has against Visor. This fight does a
that's a great fight,
building everyone
and it
up.
shows
It acts as an
everybody's
introduction
skills.
to the team's power, and it makes sure no one gets left out. It does a good job at showing us how much Issei sticks out compared to the other members, which is.
And it also shows us his insecurities. Like, everybody else has pretty much got their whole role on lock and key, but Issei's just kind of lost in the middle of everything. And it also shows the personalities of each of the characters as well, so yeah, this is definitely one of the best scenes to introduce our cast.
Something I really liked about Season 1. Episode 4 had a few moments that stood out, but it ultimately came down to Asia's backstory, the fight with Freed, and Issei's first fight with Rainier. I decided to go with Issei versus Rainier. I've talked about this before, but
that is a
plays
good choice.
Big factor in Issei's confidence heading into his fight with Rainier. She made him feel weak, and she made him feel like his power wasn't enough in this fight.
And also, it kind of doesn't show that he's going to be stupidly overpowered. You know, he actually does kind of get bodied a bit, which is good because you never want a main character that's just broken the second they get something cool. Now, they got to work for it.
Plus, the fact that he failed to save Asia in this fight made his confidence plummet for
Exactly, it was good.
I think this fight has some pretty decent emotional value, especially after we just got that good moment between Issei and Asia, where we figured
rips it out right from under us.
And it's pretty surprising seeing him once again lose and fail to save Asia. It's a pretty solid moment overall. Episode 5 is one of my favorite episodes. I've pretty much made 2 entire videos.
Oh yeah, I love this
just
episode.
on this episode. It's a masterpiece. So it's hard for me to just pick one singular moment. I feel like it's cheating to just say Issei's entire encounter with Rainier, so I think I'll go with the moment after the fight. After Issei beats Rainier, I think is when this episode reaches its peak. When Rias is about to end Rainier, a lot happens.
Hello Terry, how you doing, buddy? It's good to see you. and I hope you're doing well. And yeah, to be honest, I can see this. I agree with this.
That Issei is a Longinus user and he has the ability to kill God. Rain.
Yeah, I mean, the episodes leading up to this, we do kind of get tricked a little into thinking, like, when's his power going to show up? And then we kind of underestimate his power, and then we realize, oh my god, this guy has the power to destroy gods. It makes us lock in and, like, wonder, how is he going to get this strength? How is he going to build this up over the time? So it gives us something to look forward to.
Nair pulls out her dirtiest move yet by bringing back her Yuma.
Oh yeah, this scene was evil.
Imagery that shows us the exact moment that Issei has the trauma implemented into his mind.
And it also is the biggest contender for why Rainier should never be redeemed. All those stories I hear about them trying to redeem her and make her a good character, no. Not every single villain needs to be good. Or turn good, sorry. And Rainier's one of them. She was evil. She died evil. She deserved to die evil.
And of course, we get that beautiful scene of Issei crying about failing to save Asya. And
again,
obviously, Asya gets revived too, which is also a really good scene. It's definitely one of the best moments in the entire series, considering everything that happened and the impact it had moving forward.
Oh, very
episode
important.
6 is a filler episode, so I just decided to pick the funniest moment from this episode. I just went with the scene with Milton. I didn't laugh a lot during my rewatch.
Oh yeah, this scene.
Just because I've seen it so many times. You can only hear a joke so many times before it stops being funny. But
Oh, and I guess another honorable mention would be the whole, I wish that bicycle seat was my face. That caught me off guard when I first watched it.
I did let out a little chuckle when Milton showed up again. It's a pretty decently funny moment, but honorable mention to Susan's mission because that was also entertaining too.
Yeah,
but
it was. It was cool.
The Milton scene was a little bit funnier. Episode 7 is another filler episode, and I'm not
with
really
the familiars.
a big fan of the familiar part of this episode where Issei and Asio go out to find their little pets. So that kind of only leaves me with either the tennis game or the dodgeball match.
I personally say I prefer the dodgeball match between the two, because I found the dodgeball match to be funnier.
And I guess I'll just go with the dodgeball match.
Yeah, it's funnier.
It was funnier, and I think we got to see a little bit of Sona's power, which was cool. And also like that moment where everyone's motivated to win because Issei got hit in the balls.
Oh yeah, for his one-eyed snake for his cannon.
Also like that
and
moment
also
where everyone's motivated to win because Issei got hit in
for
the
his
balls.
sack.
Episode
is
8
what she
is pretty
says.
obvious. Like 85% of the episode is filler, so the only choice is the Riser debut. This is like the only important thing that happens in this episode, and
it is good. I like Riser. He's grown on me.
it's obviously the best. Riser is presented in a way that makes him so unlikable, and it makes you really want to see him lose. He is annoyingly arrogant. You can tell he's spoiled, and you can just tell he's never lost a fight. But you can also tell that he's really strong because of the way he carries himself.
And that's how you do a character who's super cocky correctly. You give him that just right amount of cockiness, and at the same time giving them some power to back it up. And it also gives our main character strive, like, a goal to beat. He wants to beat Riser, to show that, yeah, because you were born into a wealthy family doesn't mean that you can't get your ass kicked. So yeah, I like Riser.
This whole segment just builds a lot of hype for their future rating game that they had later on.
And it paid off.
And the tension is at an all-time high in this moment.
Oh, definitely. It's a very
tense
tense moment.
Job at hooking the viewer back in after they just hit us with 3 consecutive filler episodes. For episode 9, I think it was also pretty obvious. The talk Issei has with Rias.
Oh yeah, this was a great scene.
That sticks out from the entire series. It's an incredible dialogue where we not only get to learn about Issei's insecurities and confidence problems, but we also get to learn that Rias is also experiencing her own problems. They're both battling themselves at the same time, and this is really the first time we get to see that. It's a great moment, and it's also really important for the future. It's the groundwork for the
it does set everything up going forward. So yeah, I completely agree with this pick.
Two main characters' problems. And both characters leave this conversation looking better, and this is just one of the best conversations in the series. Episode 10 is a weird one because it's when we finally get into the long-awaited rating game.
Oh yeah, the rating game.
I can't just say my favorite moment was the rating game. I could pick out an entire fight, but I decided to choose a moment that happened during a fight instead. I just went with Issei's first use of dress break.
Oh yeah, oh my god. This was so ridiculous when I first saw this. And if you haven't seen this moment, again, like, only if you're an adult, but Jesus Christ. Let's just say it catches you off guard. Let's just say that.
Not really a big fan of his dress break move. It's a little too rapey for me. But
Yeah, I
really
agree.
the one exception, and that's because we spent the entirety of last episode watching
Building up
Issei
for
train
it.
to be able to use this move. And this moment lets us know that Issei is growing as a fighter and that his hard work has paid off. And it hits really hard after that really good conversation he had with Rias in the last episode, where he feels like he's a failure. He feels like he's too weak to be in the group. So this is a pretty important moment for Issei's confidence as a fighter.
Definitely.
This is really the first time we see him doing something on his own. If you know me, you know what my favorite moment from episode 11 is. I've pretty much shoved it down all your throats every time I talk about the Riser rating game. It's obviously Rias resigning.
Oh yeah, this scene was beautiful. Same with the music. For me, live
I love
on.
this moment so much, everything about it. The moment itself is so shocking. The stakes are so high for the rating game, and having the main character lose was such a brilliant call.
And it was a good call, because you think, you know, that's typically how the anime formula goes, right? You know, the main character goes through a bunch of trials and tribulations, but at the end of the day, they always come out in the victory circle. Not this time. No, he loses.
His life is essentially on the line here, and they still
and he fumbles
lose
it.
this fight, and they did it in such a dramatic and intense way. Issei's final stance to Riser was beautiful, and it showed us all the potential that Issei has. This dude can barely fight. He has no combat experience. He spent
yet
like
still
2
does
days
it.
training at most, and he was still getting up after every single attack Riser threw at him, to the point that Riser was about to kill him. So of course that left Rias with only one option:
to resign
and give up during the rating game. And the moment just hits so hard. The OST they played makes the scene even more dramatic.
Yes, for me, Live On, definitely one of my favorite songs in the whole series. But then again, we've done a whole video about the soundtrack. Well, I've done a reaction video and he did the video judging some of the best moments from the soundtrack, because it's up there as one of the best in all of anime, in my opinion.
And the emotion
out of the ones I've seen.
Notch. A fantastic way to end the rating game with Riser. And for the last
it's a wonderful moment.
I could have went a few different ways.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
With Issei's talk with Graphia, I could have went with Issei versus Riser, but I don't think either of these moments really match up to Issei and Rias' kiss after the fight.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, this has to be the moment, right? You know, he finally gets the first kiss with a girl. You know, it's like every story's leading point, because this literally is like the knight in shining armor story. You know, where he finally gets the princess at the end. It's the moment pretty much everybody likes. So yeah, I completely agree.
Just this whole moment, we get to truly see how much Issei cares for Rias. We already knew he cared, but
this
really
shows
get to see
how
it
much.
here when he says he's willing to give up his whole body to save her life. And it's just
he does give up his arm.
That shows us how good of a person Issei is. We watch him fail time and time again throughout this season, and it all just led up to this heartwarming moment where he wasn't just able to successfully save Rias. He wasn't just able to win his first big time fight, but he was.
He saved her life, gave her freedom.
Kiss. It's just a really good moment.
We love the
We're on to
moment.
Season 2 now, and the first episode of Season 2 is another one of those episodes where nothing really happens.
Yeah, it's kind of like a getting back into the basics.
Kiba's tension with the team, where we see that something's wrong with Kiba.
And Rias getting too comfortable bitch slapping people.
Something is eating at his mind so much that he's willing to leave the team. But that one's not really a singular moment, it's more of a collection of moments.
Yeah, it leads up to the first arc, which I still don't like. I still said it over and over that I do not enjoy the Holy Sword arc.
So I went
Maybe
with
that's
the
a hot
other
take.
moment, which was just Azazel's debut. I mean, he's
Of course, the GOAT himself, up there with Alfred.
one of the most important characters, and I love the way they eased him into the story, not just immediately telling us that he's a fallen angel. They left it up as a surprise, and of course he's
and the
Azazel,
surprise
so he
pays
just
off.
gets this spot by default. The best moment from Season 2, Episode 2 is definitely that lead up to the Kiba versus Zenovia fight. This is a very intense moment.
Oh yeah, I
between
love this.
Zenovia, Kiba, and Issei.
Plus we know Slaxxy is a huge sucker for Zenovia. Why I put her on the thumbnail.
Zenovia is just going in on Asya, telling her that
oh yeah,
she
she was
kill
very
herself,
harsh.
until Issei steps in and challenges her to a fight, and then Kiba drops the coldest line of all time. It's
Who
just
are
a
you?
really
You're
intense
superior.
moment that actually made me excited to see the fight between them. Unfortunately, the fight between them wasn't that good, so it's not.
Yeah, he
kind
kinda
of
got dogged.
Of episode 3. That goes to Kiba's explanation of the Holy Sword Project.
Oh yeah, I love this scene. Genuinely one of my favorite scenes in the whole series. I love this part of the Holy Sword arc, don't get me wrong. I love the backstory of Kiba. It's definitely one of my favorite parts of the whole series.
where we get to see just how evil Vulper is and just how broken Kiba is.
He experimented and
watched
killed
all his
children.
friends, all these kids around him die. He was the last survivor of an extremely dehumanizing experiment, and it being told in Kiba's perspective just added a lot more to the scene too. One of the saddest backstories in the entire series, and I just love that Kiba was
Oh yeah, it's
given that
brilliant.
much attention in the
Absolutely
first place.
brilliant.
Episode 4 kind of comes down to two moments again. One of them is the fight with Freed, and the other one is Kokobil's debut.
Thank you for not choosing the spanking scene. I hate that scene. Still, Season 2, Episode 4 is an episode I will never willingly rewatch.
I ultimately went with Kokobil's debut because it just feels more important. Kokobil was
Yes, I agree.
presented as this final boss that only Sir Zex could beat. He just had this insanely intimidating aura to him.
And charisma
it just
too.
made the stakes of the town being destroyed feel so much more real. A very
Yes.
intense moment that makes you excited to see the fight between them, and it makes you question if they're even going to be able to beat him. Definitely the best moment from this otherwise empty episode.
Thank you. Again, I don't like that episode. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, again, we lost against the first villain until, you know, Issei beat him with his brain. So it's very logical to assume they couldn't beat the second one either, and he's even stronger.
Now, Season 2, Episode 5 is a really good episode.
Definitely.
And I think we all know the best moment from this episode is Kiba's balance breaker. This might be
Oh
my
yeah, one of the
favorite moment
best
from
things of the entire
It's
series.
definitely like top 2. We spent this entire arc following Kiba and seeing how his past has come back and how it's destroying his life. He can't think straight. He's losing his friends. He's losing his team. Everything he once knew is starting to fall apart.
And
it's
you
all
really
because
feel
of
for
his
him.
past coming back to haunt him. And in this moment, we get to see him finally come to terms with his past
And accept
unlock a
it.
new version
And
of
he becomes
himself.
more
It's
powerful.
a very emotional moment, one of the most emotional in the entire series,
The night has peaked.
and it's just the perfect wrap up to this incredible arc.
Until Rias ruined it by spanking him.
Episode 6 is also another really good episode, and this
Well,
one
actually,
was
that happens
really
in this
hard to
episode.
find a single moment because it just has so many good moments.
It does.
Ultimately came down to 3 different choices. One of them was Volley's debut.
God's
one of them
reveal.
was Kokobil's fight against everyone, and then the other one was Azazel revealing himself as the leader of the Fallen Angels. They're all really good moments, but I ultimately went with Kokobil's fight with everyone.
Or is that in Episode 7? Maybe I'm getting my episodes misconstrued. But yeah, I love the
So
fight with
much happens
Kokobil.
in this fight, and so much is revealed in this fight too. The fight itself is a pretty good fight. Everyone teaming up to take down this Titan, but still only being able to scratch him. Just made
Oh yeah, the
Kokobil
sword with the
feel
mouth
so
is
much
one of my
more
favorite
threatening,
moments from
and it
Kiba.
made the fight feel even more important. But I think the best part of this fight is when Kokobil takes a break to talk to everyone, and we get some of the most shocking and incredible reveals.
Oh no, it is the right scene. I'm right. It is the God is dead reveal. Very cold. You never would have expected it.
We find out that God is dead, and everyone's reaction to that reveal is able to convey so
Especially
much shock.
Zenobia's.
Zenobia drops to her knees.
Like, her whole
Asuka
life is
passes
basically
out.
just
Such a
ruined.
good reveal. And then, of course, we find out that Akano is a fallen angel, which was another really good reveal and one of the most important moments in the series. All these little
Yes.
parts came together and made one of the
Completely
best
agree
moments
with
of
this one.
entire season. We're back to the filler episodes with episode 7.
Oh yeah, of course. The beach scene. Well, I guess it technically wouldn't count as a beach episode because, well, if you don't count the specials, DxD doesn't have one, but this is the closest you're gonna get.
So I just went with Azazel's talk with Issei at the beginning.
Yeah, this is a good
After
talk.
He reveals himself as a fallen angel. It's really the only thing that matters in this episode, and
It
it's
is
pretty
kind of
good
a
reveal
throwaway
that Azazel is
episode.
a fallen angel the entire time. So it was kind of the only thing I could go with. Episode 8 is another filler-ish episode. The best moment was definitely the talk Issei has with Rias at the end.
Yeah. Oh.
I went over this moment
gonna
in
keep
my
doing
cloakroom
that.
scene video, but this moment does a great job at giving us both Issei and Rias's perspective on their relationships. On one hand, you have Issei battling his trauma and thinking that there's just no way that Rias could possibly like him, and then
And Rias battling her own insecurities and her lack of confidence.
on the other hand, you have Rias battling her confidence, questioning whether Issei likes her or not, because of how distant and oblivious he's been up until this point. These
You can't fault either side, but at the same time, you can see where either side is coming from. Again, that is how you write conflict with relationships the right way. You give them both justified reasons for doing it, not just some stupid cliche of, like, stupidly random misunderstandings that anybody with a brain would be able to figure out. No, these are genuinely real misunderstandings that people would come to, making it a lot more believable.
Two thought processes just bounced off each other and created a pretty good moment here. And this is also one of the first major hints we get at Issei's trauma and the clubroom scene.
Oh, definitely.
Episode 9 was probably the easiest one to pick out of all of these in this season. The
Gasper.
best moment from this episode was definitely the talk Issei has with Gasper. I mean,
Oh yeah, I love this talk.
this is just a masterclass dialogue between characters. They're able to completely humanize Issei through this talk, and
Which is good, because we kind of need breaks in moments like this. It's honestly why I will sit and defend Asia's character to death, because we needed a character that Issei needs to protect and look after, and that's doubly true with Gasper, basically becoming like a little brother to him. We need things like that. We don't just need romantic tension, we need something for him. We need, like, goals and stuff for Issei. We need somebody for him to look after, so both Gasper and Asia fill that role in, again, which is why I'll defend them until I die.
actually make him likable. He becomes this role model to Gasper just through
Which
this
you need.
conversation. He's able to use his own experiences to relate to Gasper, and he lets him know that he should be proud of his power.
Exactly.
It's a really beautiful conversation that I'm not really doing justice with this short little review.
Yeah, you should check out the scene. It's a pretty good scene.
I'll go more into depth on this moment during my season 2 review, because
Yes, please do.
this is just one of the best conversations in the series.
Oh, definitely.
Speaking of best conversations in the series, episode
Like
10,
all.
it's the talk Issei has with Akano. Again, this is just another conversation that's able to make Issei so much more likable.
Oh yeah, the reveal that she's half fallen angel and half devil. And Akano believes that Issei would hate her for the reveal because of what happened to Reina. And again, you would honestly believe that to be true, considering what Reina did, and spoiler alert, is still doing to him throughout the series. But no. We can see that Issei judges each person as their own person and doesn't generalize the whole species, which is a really nice moment, and again gives more humanity to Issei, which we all need.
He's able to accept Akano for being a fallen angel despite hating fallen angels. He helps
Exactly.
her through her
It's
own
great.
problems with her identity. He makes it known that he accepts her fallen angel side, so she should accept it too. It's a really good moment, and it really hits hard emotionally when we finally see Akano break character and cry. This moment right
yeah,
here
definitely.
kind of marked the first time in the series where I actually cared for Akano. She just didn't feel important before this moment, but
Yeah, they really did kind of fumble Akano's character in Season 1, which is a video that he made himself about how Akano is almost perfect, but Season 1 kind of dropped the bag. Or dropped the ball. Why am I saying drop the bag?
this moment was instantly able to make me care for Akano. This is just a very
Yeah,
good
it
scene
single-handedly
that, again,
fixed
makes
her.
Issei look really good, and it's able to humanize Akano by giving her insecurities, by giving her a reason that we should care about her.
And giving us a really good backstory too.
Episode 11 was kind of hard because I don't think there's like a single moment that just sticks out, but
I love the scene of Konako protecting Gasper throughout all the magicians. I think that's a really cool scene between the two of them, and I really dig their sibling relationship, even though they're not related.
ended up going with the moment where Issei and Rias motivate Gasper to use his power and believe
Oh yeah, and this one is also really good as well.
in himself. It's a pretty good scene where we get to see growth in Gasper's character. He's
And also see how freaking broken he can be if he gets his power under control.
finally able to break through that fear.
He
of
solos
losing
pretty
his
much all of
power,
them.
and he's able to get everyone out of this terrible situation that they're in. And I also like that both Issei and Rias look really good in this conversation too. And they both want nothing more but for Gasper to succeed. Episode 12 is
Yes.
a weird one because I feel like it's cheating for me to just say Issei versus Volley. So I just went with the moment that happened during the fight. Surprisingly, my favorite moment from this fight was when Issei took Volley's power.
Oh yeah, that was sick. You just never expected it, like, your powers are mine now. And then he just rips it out. It's like, you can't do that. You can't just take the other person's power. But Issei was like, nah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do my own thing. Yeah, that really shocked me when I first watched it. I'm like, he can do that, really? But later on, we know that it does affect his lifespan, but still, that moment was cold.
Honorable mention goes to the rage scene that Issei has, but I went with Issei taking Volley's power because of what it represents. It shows us the power of never giving up. It shows us that Issei can do whatever he wants if he just believes in himself.
And also shows he can be pretty damn clever when he wants to be.
Issei is constantly being held back by his confidence issues, but
Yes.
every time we see him actually step up and believe in himself, he does some pretty incredible things. And this is really just an insane moment. Combining his enemy's
Yeah, a
power
really
with
good
his
moment,
own,
definitely.
having two complete opposites coming together to create one just creates a really shocking moment.
Hey.
We're on to season 3 now, and things honestly get a little bit harder in this season. But for season 3, episode 1,
does.
I went with a dream sequence at the beginning. This is really
Oh yeah, this dream sequence. The first half is just, her fan service. But then the break in the middle when you hear Rhaenyra's voice, then the just immediate switch in the tension. It also subtly leads us on that she's still affecting him. It's perfect.
the first obvious sign of Rhaenyra trauma where it's just thrown right
And
in
boom,
your face.
right there.
And I think this sets the tone early for this season.
It
this
does.
season really is about the characters' insecurities and the trauma that they have.
I would argue that season 3 probably has the best in terms of character development for the characters. I mean, season 2 is really good as well, don't get me wrong, with Kiba especially, but I think collectively season 3 has the best in terms of character development. Again, it's such a shame they dropped the ball with the last few episodes, but yeah, I still think that it has the best in terms of character development personally.
And this opening sequence does a really good job at showing that and preparing us for the future. Because in this season, we're not just going into Issei's mind.
We're going into like
into
3
Rhea's
characters.
Mind, we're going into Akino's mind. And
Konoko's mind.
Konoko's mind. This is a very trauma-heavy season, so opening it like this was a really good idea. Now, season 3, episode 2 is a really empty episode. The only thing I could go with is Konoko's backstory.
Yeah, this is objectively the highlight of this scene, revealing that she's a Nikushu, then the whole backstory between her and Kuroka, which we'll later see. I think it's good. It kind of caught me off guard as well, because I'm like, I wasn't expecting that, but there you go.
I guess. It's a decent moment where we get to see why Konoko is so closed off, but honestly, I think the next episode does a better job at explaining that. This episode kind of just gives us the outline of the backstory,
but then the next episode builds up on it.
Give our side characters a reason to like them. Season 3, episode 3 was a lot easier to pick. I could have went with Issei unlocking his balance breaker for the first time, but honestly, I think the best moment from this episode was when Rhea stood up to Kuroka and made Konoko feel accepted again.
Oh yeah, that was a lovely moment. She needed it.
It's just another great dialogue that carries a lot of emotion with it, and the OST in this scene was just magnificent.
Oh yeah.
We again get to see how loving and compassionate Rhys was.
So all the people saying that she only cares about herself and doesn't care about anybody else, are you still talking? Because if you are, stop.
Willing to die for Konoko, and she wants nothing more
than her
for
safety.
Konoko to just be happy in life, and she knows that going with Kuroka won't do that for Konoko.
Yes.
Very good moment, very emotional, and I think it just barely beats out Issei's balance breaker. Episode 4 is pretty much all about the fight with Loki. I wish I could say the best moment was Akino or Konoko finally
accepting who they are. They were good moments.
But honestly, those moments kind of fell flat. It felt like they just rushed over them, and putting them back to back definitely didn't help that. So instead, I just went with Issei's fake death, where
yeah, I mean, this is the obvious one. I mean, look at this. It's pretty safe to believe that he wouldn't come back from this, but of course he does. But yeah, this is a pretty intense moment, I have to agree.
Fenrir eats him. I think this might be the most surprising moment in the entire series. I like that they showed us Fenrir being released from the little trap that Kiba had him in, but by the time he eats Issei, you completely forget that that happened.
Yes.
It's a good surprise, and the characters' reactions to Issei's death was definitely the best part. We see a character like Konoko and
crying.
Sokovia, two characters who never show any emotion. We see them crying over Issei's
See, everybody
death,
just
and of course,
striking
it's
with
just
emotion.
topped
It's
off with
brilliant.
Rhys going berserk. Episode 5 is another really easy one. It's Akino's backstory. Specifically, when her and Issei are on the bed with each other, and Issei goes into her heart and sees how she truly feels. This is just
oh
an
yeah, this is a
incredible
great
moment.
scene.
They're able to make us feel so bad for Barkyul because this entire episode, Akino has just been bashing him over and over again. But at the
And we can see two sides of the same coin.
the same time, we still feel sympathetic towards Akino because we just found out that her mom got killed right in front of her. So they're able to make us feel sympathy for
both people.
characters. Akino's backstory is just so tragic. A child that was almost killed just for being a fallen angel. Watching
Horrible.
her mother die in front of her, it's just a great way at giving us this backstory. And then them taking us into...
Oh yeah, by the way, she's basically identical to her mother, so yeah. This is actually Akino's mother, the little girl's Akino.
Akino's
Bit confusing
mind,
there.
and having it play out rather than just having Akino talk over it just enhanced this scene a lot more. It felt like we were there. I think my favorite part is when we find out that she doesn't actually even hate Barkyul. She just needed someone to blame for her mother's murder, and
Which, as a little kid, you can see.
he was there, so she pushed him away and ran away. And this completely shapes Akuno's entire character moving forward. The two most important people in her life were gone just like that, and so of course she felt lonely. And up until this moment she was still feeling lonely, and that's a hole that only Issei was able to fill up. This is just such a powerful and beautiful moment that hits really hard. This is one.
Oh, and also one of the best moments, which unfortunately Slaxxy didn't touch on, was when Akuno just kind of threw herself at Issei, just wanting to, you know, not think about the situation, but he willingly stops her. He willingly knows that she's not in the right mind. Again, that is a really good scene for Issei especially, because you wouldn't expect it from the guy, and it gives him more humanity.
One of the best episodes in the entire series. We're back to filler episodes when we get to episode 6. I was in between Deodora's reveal and the Devil's Three-Way moment. I think the Devil's Three-Way is one of the funniest moments in the anime.
Oh, it's absolutely hilarious, especially with Zenovia's dialogue.
But I guess I'll go with Deodora revealing...
Yeah, Deodora's was a little more
that
important
Asuya saved,
overall.
since it has more weight to it. It's a pretty good reveal, and I like how Deodora just slowly crept his way back into Asuya's life. And then now we see his first talk with her, where he reveals that he's the reason that Asuya got kicked from the church.
Yes, which immediately makes him like a top 5 most hated. Me, when the girls are throwing up in people's mouths, I don't know. I barely watched it. Yeah, me is a really interesting thing. I've done a whole video on it. I'll have to relist it again because I took it down. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite videos I've ever made, LaFonda. Good to see you on the stream, mate.
It's a pretty decent moment, especially for a filler episode. Episode 7 is, of course, another filler episode.
Yeah.
I just went with the talk that Rias and Issei has. This is another moment where we get to see how good of a person Rias is.
Also, this costume is to die for. It's perfect.
Issei blames himself for Asuya becoming a devil, and Rias is just there to cheer him up and make it known that it's not really his fault. A very short and sweet moment. We're back to the action with episode 8. I was between Freed's unexpected appearance and Issei vs Deodora. I just went with Issei vs Deodora because I think that rage scene hits harder than the one with Freed. We find
Oh yeah, this scene was great.
out that Deodora is one of the worst people we've seen so far in
Oh yeah, he's definitely up there with one of the most diabolical characters that's very easy to hate. He's really bad.
the series. He takes pride in his plan to steal Asuya, and he says some of the most disgusting things too. They're able to make Deodora the most unlikable character we've seen so far, and that just makes Issei,
which makes the crash out a lot more justified.
So satisfying watching Issei just beat up on Deodora. And I've said this before, but I love Issei not killing Deodora even after all he did. I'm just a sucker for heroes that don't kill the villain.
Yes, and it shows like you're not even worth my time. You're so insignificant, you're so horrible, it's not even worth it to kill you. I love when characters in stories in general do that.
And I think this moment of Issei sparing Deodora's life and giving him a warning just shows us his humanity. We all know what episode 9's best moment is.
I mean, do we even have to say it? Juggernaut Drive, hello.
Obviously, it's the Juggernaut Drive scene. I mean, I don't really have to say much about this scene. The Juggernaut
It was a
Drive
legendary
scene
scene.
Is chilling. The transformation is disturbing. And
the music,
fight with
everything.
Shalva shows us that this isn't Issei anymore. I really
no,
love
this is
Rhaenyra's
just
appearance
the power of
too,
the
and
Red
I love
Dragon.
her being the one to make this situation even worse. She manages to push Issei past his limit to the point that his dragon form starts crying. It's a beautiful visual, and of course,
brilliant.
only Rhaenyra would be able to do that. And the ending of Rhea saving Issei and breaking him out of the Juggernaut Drive was pretty good too. Just a really emotional scene. The OSTs were so good. All around, this might be the best scene in the series.
Yeah, honestly, it's between this one and Kiba's Memories, but I personally have to lean more towards the Juggernaut Drive, because I'm a big sucker for like super powerful kaiju type moments, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Rage when Goku first went Super Saiyan.
Honorable mention to the very end of the episode where
when everybody comes together.
Out. This is one of the few moments in the series that was able to give me chills. Even after all of these rewatches, that moment always gives me chills.
Yeah, same.
Season 3, episode 10 is one of the non-canon episodes. And
oh yeah, this episode, episode 11 and episode 12, these don't really matter. They were so bad, as we've said earlier in the stream, that the author considers them non-canon, so maybe we can still talk about the good parts of them, but they don't really matter as much.
I know I just made a video bashing this entire arc,
which we just watched.
but individually, these episodes aren't really that bad.
No, they're not.
Decent episodes, it's just the impact they have on the series moving forward really damages the series as a whole.
Yes.
The only moment in this episode that I could really pick was when Issei's clone is able to take Rias. It's a very dramatic and surprising moment, yet it still makes sense with the story being
Also, it shows how smooth as hell he can be with confidence.
told. Rias is insecure about her relationship with Issei due to his obliviousness, so when an Issei clone
Says
comes in and
everything
tells
she
her
wants to
everything
hear.
she wants to hear, of course she falls for it. It's a pretty good moment,
And Nakama is playing one of my favorite songs on the OST.
and it makes sense. Season 3, Episode 11, surprisingly also didn't have much to choose from, but I went with the group trying to get Rias back from the dimensional gap, and I'm specifically
that was a
talking
great
about
scene.
when everyone spills their heart out to her. Everyone goes in and tells her how much she means to them, and how important she is to them, and how she's changed their lives.
And again, yeah, she pretty much has done so much for each of the characters, so them finally telling her that, you know, they're grateful for everything she's done. Brilliant scene.
It's a pretty good moment where we get to see how much everyone cares about Rias. I really like the shot of her crying while under the mind control. A soulless yet emotional expression. It's a pretty good moment. And then
I'm a big fan of those moments as well, where they're under the mind control, yet something hits them so hard even through the mind control that they begin crying.
the last episode of season 3 actually does have a few moments to pick from. Issei's words to break Rias out of her mind control were great, but I just went with the beach scene towards the middle of the episode.
Yeah, this was good.
I don't really like the substance in this scene because it is just a copy and paste of the clubroom scene. But I can't...
If the clubroom scene didn't exist, this scene would be a lot better. But because it is a copy and paste from that scene, yeah, it does kind of feel a little awkward. But I mean, come on, we're all a sucker for these type of moments in shows.
Lie and say that this isn't a heartwarming moment, because it is. And the OST they play in the background is just phenomenal. But it's just a good moment where we get to see these two characters again pour their hearts out.
I keep pausing at the worst times, but yeah, it's a good moment, unfortunately, with bad context considering, you know, it's just a copy and paste from something later on.
To each other. They talk about their insecurities and they come to terms with it. I think if they would have made this scene about anything other than Issei calling Rias president, this would have been one of the better moments in the anime.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
still a good moment when you're not thinking about that.
Haha.
We're on to season 4 now, and this season actually has 13 episodes, if you include episode 0.
Which they had to make out of necessity because of all the screwed up stuff that happened in the last 3 episodes of season 3. They basically just had to say, oh, pump the brakes there, soldier, all of this isn't canon. Here's what actually happened.
And for episode 0, I just went with the Juggernaut Drive again. Basically, everything I said about the last Juggernaut Drive
Applies.
scene, minus the Rainier thing, is the exact same. I think the voice acting performance for the chant is actually better in this episode, but this scene just doesn't hit as hard having to watch it again only 4 episodes after we just saw it. But
Yeah,
the
true.
moment
The
of
first
him
one will
going
always be
Juggernaut
better.
Drive was still done pretty well. We're back on track with season 4, episode 1, and I just went with Issei vs. Cyro because
Yeah, I love this scene and I love Cyro as a character.
it's like the only thing that I could go with. This is probably the most underrated fight in the series, and it sets the tone for the rest of the season. It builds up a lot of hype for the rating game between Issei and Cyro, and it makes us like Cyro a lot more. Cyro
Yeah, he's a
didn't
great
really feel very
character.
important in season 3 because they kind of just forgot to build up towards their rating game.
Yeah, he's like one of those rivals for the main character that you really enjoy. Like, he's really strong, but at the same time, he's not a jerk about it. He's like just genuinely a really good guy. He's just very powerful. So seeing the fight between the main character and him, you like both sides. You don't want both sides to lose, but at the same time, you want both sides to win or something of the sort. Definitely one of the better characters in the whole series. Cyro is great.
Outside of a few conversations they had, but here they were able to completely sell me on this rating game just from this fight. They were able to build Cyro up so much just with this one fight. And again,
Keep in mind, he has no devil powers at all. His whole thing is that he has no powers, so he was kind of looked down upon. So this man literally just went out of his way to just make himself stronger. Like, I don't need power. I can just make everything myself. You make your own way in life, and well, this is the result.
it just makes the rating game feel so much more important. Season 4, episode 2 is a surprisingly empty episode.
It
Nothing
is.
really happens here. The only thing I could go with was when Issei goes inside of his sacred gear.
Yeah, I don't really remember anything about episode 2, to be honest.
I like the idea that he can communicate with the previous owners, and I think it's a good way for him to overcome his curse. His
Definitely.
conversation with Elsha was actually really close to selling me on the canon version of the Juggernaut Drive. When I heard her explanation of it, I kind of started hard to understand what the author was thinking. I think the idea of his dumb Opie Dragon song overcoming something as serious as the Juggernaut Drive chant.
Yeah, that was kind of a stupid moment. It should have just been either the love of Rias or the love of all the other characters that broke him out of it. Not the song. I still agree that that was a really stupid decision.
It kind of works because it gives them hope for a brighter future for the boosted gear users. It shows them that not
too.
everything has to be so serious, and that there are more ways to go about obtaining power than just complete domination. Season 4 episode 3 is another mostly empty episode, so I just went with the hero faction's debut. It's a really short moment, but I like the hype that they built for the fight. They come out of nowhere, and having Soso instantly blast away the strongest person there was a great idea. I guess the kids nowadays would say that this is an aura-filled moment. Season
Oh god, yeah. Ugh.
4 episode 4 is basically the same as the last episode. It's just the hero faction versus the ORC bridge fight, where we get a showcase to the hero faction's power. Soso is pretty insane for being able to fight with Azazel. Pretty much everything he does during this fight shows us that he's not like the typical person that Issei fights. He's a lot more advanced, he's a lot smarter, he's a lot stronger, and it builds hype for that future fight that they have in the next episode. And Siegfried was another character that they also built up pretty well. He was able to take on Kiba, Zenobia, and Irina all at the same time. And in this fight, we also get to see Issei progress as a fighter. He learns to step up and take command of the team.
Yeah, which he needed to do, and let's be honest, we all want to see him get past the whole, he doesn't know where he wants to fit in with the team, but seeing him step up and lead the team or take charge is something we all want to see in an anime.
Just all around, it was a pretty decent fight where a lot of characters came out of it looking good. Season 4 episode 5 was a pretty easy one. This is where the real fight with the hero faction begins, and I think the best moment from this episode was Issei's talk with Elsha.
Oh yeah, that was a great scene.
Potential. It's a great conversation these two have. Issei is just ready to give up on himself because he can't beat Soso no matter how hard he tries, and Elsha just has to remind him that he's different. He's not like all the other Sacred Gear users.
No, he's completely
different.
different.
He has his own unique style, and he has to believe in that style if he wants to win, and of course that's how he unlocks his potential. Episode 6 picks up where the last episode left off with the fight between Issei and Soso, and I was between a few moments with this episode. One of them was Issei blasting Soso in the eye.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Coming down to save the group, but the moment I went with was when Issei used the illegal move Triana. This is
seeing him whip this out of nowhere, this was great.
When Issei is able to access his full potential. He has this very intense looking power up, and he unlocked the ability to promote himself without having to have permission. I love the visuals of this moment. I love the changes in his armor.
Oh yeah, the armor shattering and then changing was really cool.
And this moment is able to instill hope in the viewer. The entire fight with Soso in the last episode was completely one-sided. So and
now we see the table turn.
It's the only time that it feels like Issei has a chance. But then of course the icing on the cake is when Soso gets up like nothing happened. They do a really great job at playing with the viewer's emotions.
Yeah, you think he's gonna body him, but nope, he's completely fine.
It's obviously a filler episode because every 7th episode is. So
yes.
I just went with Issei trying to help Cyro-Org's mom. I think it's a pretty good moment with Issei's character, again making us like him more.
And liking Cyro-Org more.
Out of his way to help the mom of his opponent for the rating game. And we even get a little heartfelt conversation between him and Cyro-Org, where Cyro-Org shows gratitude towards Issei and he becomes more motivated to beat him. It again just builds hype for their future fight. I just went with the club room scene for episode 8.
Because, I mean, there really isn't anything else to episode 8 in my opinion. It has to be the club room scene.
There wasn't really much else to go with. I made a whole video on this scene, so I don't really have to
Which I've seen.
Much here. But this scene is the ultimate climax for Issei and Rias' relationship.
Definitely.
Everything before was leading up to this clubroom scene, and this scene is so crucial in Issei's progression and his overcoming of his Rainier trauma. It's a very important moment where Issei learns the errors of his way, and he's forced to reflect on himself. This is too necessary of a moment for me to not have it as the best moment in the episode. I'm tired of talking about the clubroom scene.
Let's move on. We've done it several times, yep.
But unfortunately, I'm still pretty much talking about it since the best moment in episode 9
is also the conclusion of the scene. Yeah, I completely agree. It has to be this scene.
Girls confront Issei about the clubroom scene. I also went into detail about this moment in that clubroom scene video.
And I also made an entire what if video based on that as well. I again think that some of the dialogue could have been a little less snarky, but overall it was a really nice scene.
But the girls are able to figure out that Issei is still traumatized by Rainier, and they basically just heal his trauma and heal his inner scars. It's another really emotional moment in the anime, and it's a great ending to the Rainier trauma story. We finally get our answer as to why Issei has been so oblivious this entire time. The girls comforting him and making him believe in himself for the first time ever is just...
And guess what? There's a genuine reason for our main character to be oblivious. Not just stupid stuff like, I think Sword Art Online is the biggest example of it. No, there's a reason for him doing this.
The perfect way to end it. It all started with his lack of confidence and this thought that one day the girls were going to leave him, but they make it known that
they won't. They're right here with him
because he's always been there for them, and it works really well. And it's just another very crucial moment to Issei's progression, because this is when he starts to learn that other people care about him, that other people believe in him, so he just has to believe in himself. Episode 10 kicks off the rating game with Sour Org that they've been building up for so long, and this episode surprisingly doesn't really have too many standout moments.
Yeah, it's kind of an
one that hit me pretty hard, and it's Gasper's final stand during his fight.
Oh yeah, Gasper's a G. We love Gasper.
We get to see that Gasper has completely evolved due to his belief in Issei. He looks up to Issei in every way, and that's shown here in this moment. It gives flashbacks to when Issei stood up to Riser in season 1, and
it does give similar vibes
earlier in the season about being
I can see it
in the House of Grimmery. It again just shows us how important Issei is to Gasper, and how Issei has been able to influence and change Gasper into a completely new person. And let's not forget that Gasper is like the only reason they won the rating game against Sour Org.
That is true, yeah.
If he doesn't make this final stand, then Zenobia gets eliminated from the game. And if Zenobia gets eliminated from the game,
she never would have been able to take his arm.
And if they don't cut off Sour Org's arm, he doesn't have to use his Phoenix tier. And if he doesn't have to use his Phoenix tier,
Issei would have never have won.
Beat Sour Org twice in their final fight, which wasn't going to happen. So Gasper's final stand was actually really important to this fight. Episode 11 was a pretty obvious one. I went with Issei overcoming his Juggernaut Drive curse. Issei's about
this was brilliant
against Sour Org, and he starts to feel like a failure again. It gets so bad that he's about to go Juggernaut Drive until he's reminded again that there are people out there that
do believe in him.
He sees all these people that look up to him, and he sees all these people that believe in him, but he especially sees that Rias looks up and believes in him. So what other choice does he have but to believe in himself? It's an incredible moment, and of course it leads to Issei unlocking one of his best looking forms in the...
Oh yeah, this is awesome. I really, really wish the show would come back just so we could see more of this, because the design and the colors of this just, ugh. As an autistic guy, I love my colors, so yeah, 10 out of 10.
Anime armor made out of the love he has for Rias. It's a good change of pace. Instead of using perversion or rage, he uses his love for Rias to keep fighting. And we finally made it to the last episode of High School DxD, season 4, episode 12. There are so many moments I could have gone with this episode.
It's a brilliant ending.
Ultimately, it came down to the ending of the fight with Sour Org.
It's brilliant.
Confession to Rias. It was a really tough decision, but I went with the ending to the Sour Org fight.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the ending between these two, but that fight where he hugged the enemy even after winning, I mean, you felt happy for each side. Like, you weren't like, oh my god, I wish, either one of them could have won or lost. No, you're happy with the conclusion for both of the characters, which I think is beautiful.
Kiss with Rias was a great moment and the perfect way to wrap up their story, but man, the end of the Sour Org fight had my heart pumping. Sour Org spent his entire life building himself up to this moment where he can prove himself, and he knows that losing here would be a major setback, so he's willing to fight through anything. It's such a good way at making him so much more likable. By giving him this relatable story, we want to see him win. But on the other hand, Issei's got the same thing going on where he knows he has to win this fight. Sour Org and Issei are so similar, it just makes this dynamic perfect. Both people are fighting for their hopes and dreams, and they're able to make the audience care about both sides. It's just so good. That moment where they're both talking to themselves in their head just hits so hard because you can tell that they both care so much about this fight. They're both willing to give their all for this fight. And of course, Sour Org fighting while unconscious is such an insane moment.
Oh yeah, that was great.
How much will he has. And I left this fight with a mix of sadness and excitement. I'm sad to see Sour Org lose, but I love to see Issei win. And that final shot of Issei holding Sour Org's unconscious body while crying is just so
that was brilliant.
It's
you love it.
Fantastic episode in general, filled with so many moments that I could have chose from.
And this is why, again, I will defend season 4. It's still probably my second favorite season out of all of them. It's brilliant.
I really could have went anywhere with this, but I think that moment with Issei and Sour Org just hit harder for me. And that is the best moment from every single episode of High School DxD.
And yeah, I agree with pretty much nearly all of those episodes, so yeah. Good job. And yeah, as you can see here, I'll get on this one. I did get on this one. Alright, so we're gonna do, I'll probably get to this episode another time because I know this has been going on for a while, so we'll save this for a separate video. However, there's one I've been wanting to, go over, and that's this one, the latest one, about, Paradise Infinity. Oh boy, let's get into it, guys. By the way, that's just me clicking on the video to go to the comment section of this. I didn't actually watch the video. So, let's see what it's about, even though I've played this game and it's terrible.
I finally played the highly anticipated, highly requested, people lining outside of GameStop High School DxD game. I guess I should give you guys a recap since it's been so long. A while ago I made a video asking the gods to create a High School DxD game.
And they should have made either a fighting game, an RPG game, or a story game, or something like that, instead of a shitty gacha game. They could have done any other genre and it would have worked.
I was ready to sacrifice my entire body like Alphonse from Fullmetal Alchemist if it meant getting the High School DxD game I envisioned. And luckily for me, these prayers were answered. A few months later, it was announced that a High School DxD game would be coming out soon. And we all celebrated joyously because we finally got some new DxD content.
And the game was shit.
Fast forward to a couple months ago, the game finally came out and everyone hated it. People tore this game to shreds. You could probably serve someone a peanut butter fish omelet with a side of moths,
and they'd be happy.
They would have probably enjoyed that meal more than they enjoyed the High School DxD game. Everyone took turns throwing tomatoes at this game, but now it's my turn. I feel contractually obligated to talk about this game since I spoke it into existence. So I put on my big boy pants, loaded the game up, and I was immediately greeted with this.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's a gacha game. It's a horrible gacha game. I've played gacha games like Dragon Ball Dokkan and Dragon Ball Legends before, and it's just terrible in every single aspect. Like, look, nothing's even showing up.
What a start. So I ultimately played the game for about an hour and a half, and I can confidently say that
it's terrible.
This game just isn't very good. Obviously. I think we all expected it to be bad once we heard that it was going to be a browser game. I've played games from that studio before, so I already knew what to expect when I found out that they were the ones behind this game. There surprisingly are some good things about this game that I think should be highlighted, and that I think have been overlooked in this season.
Yeah, the summoning thing is fine.
Is good. Each
the art is great.
Comes with their own little animation and it looks pretty cool. I enjoyed going through all the characters and seeing a cool little drawing of them.
It was good to see all of those, yes.
That was easily the most effort that they put into this game. They also had a cool little gambling mode that I liked, where you just open packs and pray you get your favorite character.
And this is where the gacha element comes in.
It's always fun to open packs in games, and that's no different
and he
here.
pulled a Sona.
I was desperately trying to get Azazel, and even though that plan fell through pretty quickly, I did still enjoy the pack opening. They also give you the ability to change your profile picture, and of course I went with Freed as mine, since I couldn't have Azazel. Each character has their own little catchphrase at the end of battles. Most of the phrases don't even match the characters, but it's still mildly interesting to see what they're going to say. And of course, just the fact that we have High School DxD characters in a game is cool. And
it is pretty cool. But besides that, yeah, there's again really nothing to this game at all. If you've played one gacha game, you've played a much better version of this one.
For those things, there wasn't too much to like about this game. The first thing that you'll notice when playing this game is that this isn't a High School DxD game.
It's not.
It's a G123 game that uses the skin of High School DxD characters. It's more like a High School DxD mod texture pack. If you played one of G123's games,
you've played this game.
Them all. And High School DxD Operation Paradise is a prime example of this. They made no effort to differentiate this game from any of their other games. The most you get is a little animated storyboard at the very beginning of the game, but that's it. There's no voice acting in the game.
Nah, there's nothing.
The biggest of deals. They do have sound effects, which is actually pretty surprising, and they do have battle music for when you're fighting, but they
wow, the bare minimum of a video game. Oh my god, who would have ever expected?
Set it up so awkwardly that you can't help but laugh when it switches between the battle music and the regular music.
It is jarring, listen.
Like, what is that transition?
There is
They
no
did it
transition.
in, like, the most awkward way possible. There had to have been a better way of doing that. There were times where I couldn't do anything but laugh at just how low effort everything was. Like, the gears that you put on characters, they didn't even bother making them DXD specific.
No, yeah, there's nothing like that. There's
Kid
nothing.
you not, I gave Freed a shirt, shoes, a baseball bat, and a headband. That's the level of creativity that went into this game. This game makes 2K, Madden, and FIFA look like innovative masterpieces.
It does. There was no effort put into it. There was no love put into it. They just decided to just slap an anime IP onto something and just called it a day.
Even the Prodigy math game that I played in elementary school had more effort put into it than this game. The closest thing I got to a DXD specific gear was a flaming sword, which is a pretty vague name, so that gear can probably somewhat resemble any fantasy world.
You think they would have done something like, oh, Ascalon, oh, maybe one of Keeper's swords, maybe one of the boosted gear, maybe one of the spells. They could have done so much more with these. Maybe with some of the other costumes for the characters specifically. And then if there wasn't one for any of the characters, make something up but would still fit the characters. It had so much potential, so many ideas, but flopped like a fish.
It's almost like they made the game with the intention of avoiding spoilers, but no one other than high school DXD fans would dare to open this abysmal game.
Exactly.
Nobody's on the edge of their seat waiting for the next G123 game to drop. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah, the only reason why this game was even played was because of the IP behind it.
Make these games for fans, but they couldn't even get the bare minimum of things right. The way that they rank their characters is actually incomprehensible. It's like they just put each character through a random generator and that's how they decided what rank they would be.
Yes,
like,
it is silly.
Rainier is a gold character. I can't really remember the names of the rank, but I think the gold characters were the best of the best. And
yeah, it goes in like SR, SSR. Yeah, SSRs are like your legendary characters.
they were 5 stars. Now, Rainier being a 5-star character, I guess you can argue she's popular and she plays a pretty important role in the story. But at the very bottom of the rankings, when you scroll all the way down at 22 centimeters per second, at the very bottom is Fenrir. Fenrir,
which
you know,
makes
one of
no
the strongest
sense.
characters in the series. Yeah, he's one of the weakest characters in the game. But even I was able to justify it by just saying he's not that important or imposing in the anime.
I think that's what they were going for, but like who would get the SSR rank is that, you know, the characters are the most important or the most known, which explains why Rainier's all the way at the top. But yeah, I could agree with you on this one.
So maybe that's what they went by, so I can give him a pass. But if you scroll back up to the highest tier, you will see the most baffling choices. They have Carla Warner as one of the best characters in the game.
Which makes no sense.
Yes, Carla Warner, that fallen angel that was there just to get squashed by Rias, the one with like 5 lines of dialogue, she is one of the best characters in the game.
Apparently.
There's no rationalizing that. It just makes no sense. Like, let me give you a list of characters that she's ranked higher than. Tsubaki, Saji, Freed, Fenrir, Base Issei, and basically the entirety of Sona, Cyroorg, and Riser's peerages. And
Which makes no sense.
icing on the cake is that right next to her is Matelt. It's just...
Why is Mattel up here? She just died immediately when she was introduced into the show. Yeah, it's weird, honestly, how they ranked things.
so random.
Oh.
It almost feels like they chose the character ranks based off attractiveness. But I don't know if that's the case because that bald thug Hades is at the highest tier and so
Yes.
is Isabella. So it can't be attractiveness. It can't be strength because you do have strong characters like Hades at the top. But then you look to his left and right and you'll see the biggest jobbers in the series right next to him. It can't be importance because again, you have a character like Carla Warner at the top. Like there's no metric where this
It seems just
makes
really
sense.
weird
Small
and thrown
details like
together.
that, or lack of details like that are why I say this isn't a DXD game, because there was no effort in trying to make it anything like the anime or light novel.
Completely
it
agree.
doesn't follow anything, it just feels random, and it feels so low effort. Now I know I've been going in, but I should probably make it known that I didn't necessarily have a bad time playing this game. I wasn't puking up blood or anything like that.
It was just meh, and then moved on.
But honestly, I probably would have preferred that because playing this game leaves you with the most nothing feeling ever. The biggest
It is,
problem
yes.
with this game is that it's unbelievably boring. Staring at a static TV screen is more enjoyable than playing this game. I say game lightly because calling this a game
It's
is
barely a
probably
game. There's
sin.
barely
I
any
should be
interaction.
condemned to hell for calling this a game because you aren't playing anything. There is no gameplay. You just click battle and then you watch your characters fight, and you do that every single time. There's no difference between between boss fights and regular fights. They aren't really even boss fights. They're just regular fights with the word boss slapped on top of them. But
Yeah, it is honestly really stupid why they made this game as they made it. Because again, you have like games like Dragon Ball Dokkan that requires, you know, using your brain a bit to match up tiles. Then of course you have like Dragon Ball Legends, which is a fighting game but operates similarly. They could have added something to this, but they really didn't.
besides for that, there's no difference. It is tragically boring. You're just watching your characters fight with no input of your own, and it gets old so fast.
And that's honestly the worst kind of a game. I'd rather make a really terrible game because at least it'll be memorable. No, everybody will forget this game.
I said this while I was playing the game, but the easiest fix to make this game more enjoyable is to just add interactive gameplay.
Exactly.
Let us pick what attack we want to do. If
Make
I'm
it like a
playing
true
with Issei,
RPG.
I want to be able to do a dragon shot. If I'm playing with Asuya, I want to be able to heal the team. Just letting the player choose the move they would like to do
Would have just
make
made
the
it a lot
battle
better.
So much more enjoyable. But I guess it's just too much effort for this game studio. Let's just reskin the same game for the 100th time. It is crazy how many games they have like this. You can go to any anime that doesn't have like a massive following, and you will find a game from this studio about that anime, and it'll be the exact same game. Like, this has to be some type of money laundering scheme. Like, what is going on? This can't be legal. It's terrible. The campaign mode is terrible. You don't get any storyboards between battles.
There's
You're
just nothing.
fighting aimlessly with no goal in mind, no end goal in mind. You're not doing anything. You're just fighting and watching your characters, but you're not fighting towards anything. So what's the point of doing the
There is
campaign
no
mode?
point.
You don't get any variation between battles. It's just
The game's just like brain rot, really, you know? There's nothing really stimulating about it. It's just boring.
a bunch of nothing. I even played past the first chapter. I sat through 40 battles, and there was no difference between chapter 1 and chapter 2.
I don't think the
Not
background
a
even
change of
changes.
Scenery.
Yeah.
That's the bare minimum that I expected, was for the background to change.
But
I
nope,
was
we didn't get
still at
nothing.
Kuo Academy. And I know that the background does change because I've seen it. But to make your players go through 40 plus battles just to get a change of background, that
Oh,
has
it does
to be
eventually
some form
change,
of
alright.
torture. It is awful. The campaign is somewhat enjoyable for like 5 battles, but then you just get so tired of
'Cause
seeing
it's the
the
same
thing
thing over and over.
and over again. And switching characters doesn't really help because there's nothing to look
They all
at.
play the same,
moves,
basically.
The animations that the characters are doing, they're not interesting. They're just basic, standard moves that don't really make you feel like you're watching the character that you're supposed to be watching. And the
They're all
worst
just
part
kind
about
of like generic punches, kicks, whooshes, etc. There's nothing really innovative. There's no like things that you could recognize like, oh, that's from the anime. No, it's just the most generic cookie cutter type animations. It's terrible.
the gameplay is every other game mode is the exact same thing as the
There's no
campaign. I
variation.
unlocked this tower mode, and it was the same exact gameplay and the same exact
Yeah,
game
there's nothing
mechanics.
to
You're
this.
just playing for different rewards. I don't get it. I don't get why they even made the game. It's very clear this game was made to just steal money from the poor fans who were
Yep,
excited
that's
to
pretty
play
much
as their
it.
favorite DxD characters. You don't need to spend money on this game, but this game goes through all the lengths possible to make you spend even the tiniest amount of money.
Yeah, it's again one of the staples of like crappy games like this. Honestly, they should have just made it like a mobile game or something because I mean, who would spend money on a browser game if anything? Jesus.
I was half expecting a hand to reach out of my computer and just
And
steal
choke
my
me.
wallet. Anytime you do anything, you get hit with a pop-up begging you to spend money. Basically, every time you blink, there's a new pop-up trying to get
Like 9 cents in American. It's like, what's the point?
you to spend 10 cents on something. And that's the thing. It's very tempting to spend money on this game
'Cause of how low price
cheap
everything is.
There were multiple times where I was considering spending money because everything was just so cheap. We're
Yeah.
talking like below 10 cents. Now, I wouldn't recommend spending a cent on this game because
'Cause it
just
doesn't
isn't worth
deserve it.
You're better off just throwing money into a fountain and making a wish. But there were some things in this game that were actually expensive. Like they had this Rias character for like $50, and
I mean, that is a pretty cool outfit, don't get me wrong, but 52 quid? Fuck out of here. That's like I can think of like 4 games combined. and it would still be less than this.
Then Ross Weissa Battle Pass was like $15, something like that. I think the strategy is to bait people in with low prices, and then once they get comfortable spending low amounts of money,
They then
on
throw
the
all the
game,
expensive
then
stuff at
they'll
you.
be more likely to pay for the higher priced items. That's my little tinfoil conspiracy.
You can see he wants Azazel so badly, but never got him.
Theory. They do this thing where they give you an infinite amount of pack openings. You open 10 packs at a time, and you can keep reopening them until you get the characters you want. But of course, they have a catch. One, they took all the good characters out of the pack.
Yep,
so
they
you can
did.
only get the low-level gold characters. And two, you have to actually pay to get the characters that you roll from the pack. And that's how they almost got me. I was very tempted to pay for it because I was just so defeated, and I wanted to leave here with something. The pack I rolled,
Yeah,
had
it's
Doso
really
in it,
crappy.
so I was definitely considering it. But I'm glad I didn't pay for that because I haven't even thought about opening the game ever since I've played it last.
Yeah, like, you play it once, you see it's terrible, you close it, and you never play it again.
Sosa would have been on my roster covered in dust, probably looking like Frosty the Snowman. The game just has no replay value because there's nothing to play. Again, the best part is the pack openings and trying to get characters. I was trying so desperately to get Azazel, but of course that was never really going to happen without at least a $50 donation directly into the developers' pockets. It was just very disappointing. Overall, I'd probably give this like a 2.3 out of 10. It's
That's still too high.
about as good as the
Give it a
Don't Look Away
2.1.
movie on Tubi. It's honestly a mystery why they even bothered releasing this game. It's uninspired,
They shouldn't have ever done it.
unplayable, and unenjoyable. I hope they make a sequel. It's good to be back. I just had to talk about this tragic disaster of a game.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
did it for fun
terrible.
And recorded some gameplay footage, and man, I just knew that I had to make this into a little rant. But yeah, I'm just gonna try to get back into the groove of things. So the next video will probably also be something pretty easy.
Yeah, it's fine. Again, slowly work yourself back to it. Okay, so those are all the videos we're going to cover on the catch-up. Don't worry, the other videos that I've missed and haven't seen, I'll make into separate videos. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. I'll be seeing you all later. Take care, my disciples.